Starting to drag panels over.
Okay, I'll meet you over there. We got a couple things happening on the to-do list today. I've got to move feed to the barn. We have a weekly feed run that we do with our local feed store. And then our plants on the lane are getting really big and they're gonna need their trellis really soon. I've got it partially trellised out there, but I really need to get the rest of the trellising out there because I have some squash that are going to get really, really big and I'm very excited. My shout dude, I'm gonna back up. I'm not that great at backing this up with a trailer on it, so it could be amusing. We are actually expecting a low that is cooler than normal for this time of year. Tomorrow morning it's gonna be 38. 38 is so close to frost level here. It really just kind of depends on how the air is moving, and I am a little bit nervous. So I ran irrigation on the lane this morning, even though it didn't really need water. The idea is that the moist ground will soak up a lot of the heat from the air or the sun during the day, and the soil will retain some of that heat throughout the night and hopefully insulate the plants, just in case a frost happens to come. So we have these panels here that a friend gave us, and they're not pretty, but you know what? They're sturdy and they're gonna do the job, and they were free.
It shouldn't be. And then do you want it, because these are shorter, matching the top or the bottom of the panel over here?
The
Bottom.
Yeah, let's do bottom.
Okay. It's not the prettiest thing, but
it just has to be effective.
yeah, it should be.
Yeah, we've thought about adding in more T-posts for support because it is kind of wobbly.
Probably.
T-posts aren't going in because they're hitting the weed fabric. The weed fabric that I use is really strong. Could you also maybe angle grind the end of that T-post to be a point?
I thought about that.
Too much work?
That's probably more effort than it's worth, yeah.
Yeah, I think we're gonna try to dig down to the weed fabric and cut a hole to put the T-post in, because these old panels are kind of wobbly. Yeah, that works. Remember, this makes the bees mad.
Well. Yep.
Perfect. A little more. Y'all doing? Hi, sir. We had this little short piece of paneling here that we're using to extend down to the pole beans. For some of the plants, I'll do this with the squash too, but you can see it better with tomatoes. We're guiding them up to the panel. Got tomato clips and then this support string leading them up to the trellis. This will work fine for the squash too, but that's a lot of beans to try to guide up to the panel. So this will help bridge that gap. Good morning. Y'all almost never see me in my robe, but here we are. I barely slept last night. So I kind of knew that we were getting some super high 30s. I wasn't super worried about it because they hadn't put out a frost advisory. If they thought it might frost, surely they'd let us know. Well, they did, and I didn't see it until like 8 o'clock last night. So the sun was already down. I prepared literally nothing out here. So Levi and I spent about an hour and a half covering everything. Now, earlier in the year, you know, mid-April, I would have been like, okay, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. I planned it out early, it's my fault. I can't remember our estimated last frost date. What I do know is that they have made it earlier. It used to be the 19th of April, and I think now it's the 13th. So we are well past that, and this is absolutely a frost. If I didn't have these plants covered, they 100% would have been affected. I wasn't sure because sometimes my plants inside the raised beds can handle it okay because they are up off the ground, but this frost is pretty bad. I mean, it's everywhere. It doesn't appear to be just patchy. I guess it's not as bad like the further up the lane we go, but it's hard to tell. This is icy. See that? This is a felt bag. Literally every pillowcase that wasn't on pillows came out here. I scrambled and put these little trash cans over all the plants to help give them a little bit of air insulation if like the blanket or towel wasn't thick enough. But yeah, there's totally frost on that. This is my lavender. I wasn't sure if it could handle the frost like this or not, especially when it's budding, but yeah, it was worth it. Totally worth covering. So we'll be able to pull this off later, do a ton of laundry, and then see what happened out here, because it's very widespread. It's not just patchy. We fully frosted. The thinking behind running the sprinklers right now before the sun comes up is that you can, if you get a light frost on some plants, you can kind of melt that frost off before the sun hits it, and that somehow can help cushion the impact of the frost on the plants. I've heard that it helps the cells not explode. I don't quite understand the science behind it. I just know it is what people do. So I've got the sprinkler running on the perennial garden. There are some things that have buckets over them over there, and then the kids' garden, which I walked in there and I didn't really see frost settling in the kids' garden, but I'm running the sprinkler anyway, and it's heartbreaking when the frost takes your lovely plants, especially this early in the season. It's heartbreaking in the fall, but I actually put this up here to block Buster from getting on the lane. I didn't want him thinking that I made a bed for him. I left the greenhouse open because everything in here can handle the frost, and oftentimes it's not going to creep in here anyway. Frost kind of settles from above. doing? Huh? You holding it together back here? Laying down the law? Keeping Mooch in line? Yeah. Good morning. Can you guys see what we're working on today? We just pulled the last of the shampoo bars out of storage and shoved it in the shower. And so I need to make more. The shampoo bars last a very long time. I honestly think the last time I made them was when I made my shampoo bar video. Probably more than a year ago. We used tallow in our shampoo bar, and I'll go over the recipe with you guys. This recipe was actually shared with me by one of our lovely channel members, Miss Carrie. She has since adapted the recipe a little bit. She's added argan oil. For me, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I don't want to change up the recipe. It works so well for our family. Ignore my hair. Right now, I really do need to wash my hair, so this is not a testament to the shampoo. All right, so here's the recipe that I'm working with. I know it doesn't really explain much, but that's that. I already have 8 ounces of castor oil poured in here. We're gonna use coconut oil, olive oil, essential oil, and the main ingredient, tallow. This is actually tallow that I rendered from our goats in 2024. I won't use all of this, but I need 10 ounces of tallow, and tallow is what makes these bars last so long. So what I'm gonna do first is weigh out my oils in this pot here and then warm it up on the stove. I've already been warming the tallow just so I can get it out of the jars a little bit easier. But as you can see, my coconut oil is solid, as the unrefined coconut oil should be, at room temperature, unless you live in Florida or someplace like that. I can remember when we lived in Florida, my coconut oil was pretty much always liquid. 10 ounces of coconut oil. 5 ounces of olive oil. The one that I have is this light olive oil. 4 ounces. I thought that might happen, so I'm gonna have to steal from the jar that I use for cooking. And then 10 ounces of tallow. Ooh. I actually had a little bit less tallow than I thought in both of those jars, but I do have this little baby food jar with some tallow in it, so we'll make up the difference. I literally just need 1/10 of an ounce. I knew that this would come in handy. There we go. Perfect. All right, so these are our oils. I'm gonna stick them right here in my double boiler and just give this a little bit of a stir. I think I'm gonna move it back here on my stove. My front burner only works on high, and I don't think I really want to blast this on high. So I'll stick this in a medium low. I really just want the oils to melt. I am going to be putting my lye water solution together, and we do want the oil and lye water to be roughly the same temperature range. And so we'll put that lye water mixture together now, temp that, and then see how much we need to bring up the oils. Before that though, there is some interesting ingredients in here. There's some sugar, which helps with lather, and some salt, which I forget what that does, but it's in the recipe, so we're gonna do it. Tablespoon of the Redmond's real salt, and then 2 tablespoons of sugar. As far as the water and lye, we need 12.54 ounces of water and 5.32 ounces of lye, so very precise. Okay, and the lye we use is Red Crown lye. You can and probably should use gloves. I tend not to because I'm decently careful, but if I burn myself, it's my fault. If you burn yourself, it's your fault. I do have built-in eye protection, so there is that. 5.32. This is gonna warm up. Okay. Can you kind of see it steaming some here? That's the chemical reaction. I don't really want to breathe that in. I've had a lot of people tell me I shouldn't be using glass. I always have. It hasn't caused a problem. I have no idea if the type of glass I'm using matters. And I mean, it gets warm, but it never gets so hot that I'm worried about thermal shock. But if that makes you nervous, you can use plastic. Lye water clocking in at 160 degrees. And the oils right now, 104. And I still have some chunks of oil in here too. So as this sits, it will cool a little, and as this sits on the burner, it will warm a little. And we're just trying to get within about, 5 or 10 degrees. And obviously I want the oils to be fully melted. That's just a little coconut oil still left behind. The salt and sugar are combined with the oils. And so I'll put those in here too so we can heat up with that. Actually reading right about a 145 on both of these. So I'm gonna take that off the burner. And I want to be adding my lye water solution to my oils, and I'm going to mix with the immersion blender. At this point, it moves a little bit fast. This recipe in particular really does come together fast. I'm looking for it to get a little bit thick, kind of like if you saw my scones recipe, kind of like that drizzle that goes on top of the scones. Like that. They call it coming to trace. And right before we come to trace, I am going to add some rosemary essential oil, about 15 drops. Just at a very loose trace right now. Because this sets up so fast, I think I'm going to pour it into my molds at this point. It's kind of goopy. Some of these are a little over full, so I'm just moving some over. This soap still does have active lye in it, so I don't want to touch it. And if I were to like tap this on the counter, I would risk a little bit of splashing, so I'm not going to do that either. I don't sell these, so I'm not super worried about presentation, just functionality. Here we are. 11 bars is what I tend to get out of that recipe. These are 4-ounce shampoo bars, and these are going to set in the next 24 to 48 hours. During that time, the lye is still going to be pretty zappy. It's going to be converting the oils that we put in this shampoo bar into soap, and so don't worry about the fact that we're putting all that oil on our hair. It's not oil by the time you use it on your hair. I think this shampoo bar, it's not 0% super fat, but it's close. I can't remember exactly what it is, but there's not a lot of oils left behind. That's what super fat means. There's a certain percentage of super fat in different types of soap, and that's just the percent of fat that hasn't been converted into soap itself. It can help to have a little bit of extra super fat, especially for your skin if you want it to be nice and hydrating and nourishing. But yeah, if I can find the super fat calculation on this recipe, I'll stick it down below. This is it. And I'm going to leave it like this for a good couple days, and then we'll unmold it and let it cure. I was seeing a post somewhere where someone was talking about if your dough is lifting their foot or like leaning a certain way, instinctually you want to kind of pull them down towards that foot that they're lifting, right? But what they're going to do is resist even more and like lean that way even more. So if you actually kind of pull them or push them in the direction that they're going, because they're stubborn, they are actually going to resist in the opposite direction. And it works really well just to make them put their foot down. I've also heard of people just kind of like scratching the top of their back, sort of makes them stand. It works. Now, Tori always lifts her foot when she's being milked. She's not doing it to try to keep off the milker or anything. She just does this. Yeah, she's got her foot up, and if I push her, down. Instead of pulling her towards me, if I push her, she puts her foot down. Very interesting. Oh, these boys love cookies too. Really only 4 out of them take it. 1, 2, 3, 4. You want some? No. That is one of Red's boys. Tizzy wants hers. One of the reasons I took one of Red's boys off of her is that Red is starting to get a little bit thin. This was her first freshen this year, and I'm actually not entirely sure how capacious her udder is. I don't really know how much milk she's making because she's just had her boys on the whole time. They're about 10 weeks old now. I have banded all the boys that are going into the freezer, so it's not a big deal that she still has one of them on right now out in the girl pen. But yeah, if her inputs are not matching her outputs, that's one reason that they can get a little thin. I have treated her for worms. She's definitely good there, so I think she just needs to back off a little bit on the production. And I only milk once a day here, and so that's already not asking like peak capacity of my does 24/7. And if I were to pull both boys at once, what I would have to do is probably milk her twice a day for a little while in order for her production to level out. But if I pull the boys off one by one, that sort of happens automatically. She's having a lot less demand on her udder. That's going to help dry her up a little bit, and that'll be great for me because in about a week I'll be able to pull the other boy off and her production will not be at its peak, and it'll be perfect for me for once a day. That is actually what I did to get Shindy to once a day milking. She had triplets this year and she makes a ton of milk. This is her second freshen. I pulled them off one by one and I didn't have to ever milk twice a day. It throws my groove off when I have to milk twice a day. I have also been giving her some rice bran pellet, which is what I just gave to her out of that quart jar. She's eaten it all already. That really helps them put some weight on, and she has gained some weight. She's just still just a little bit thin, nothing crazy, but I don't want her to get worse. We really have not had worm issues on our farm this year, and I have to knock on wood because, oh goodness, I don't want any of my does to be kind of starting off down, because if and when they do encounter worms, that's just less reserve that they have in order to deal with that pressure. She's doing pretty good. Come on, girl. Come on. She's looking at my hand like, where are the cookies? Come here, baby. You eating all you want? His pigs? She knows I'm done milking. Most of the time, I'll take the milk inside and strain it and keep it for us. Right now, I have, it's probably 12, could be more, gallons of milk in 2 separate refrigerators that needs to be processed. I haven't had time to process it. I've been doing a lot of other things, but I'm going to be processing it soon. I have no fridge space though. And so the girls need milking regardless, and I am very grateful that I do have the place to put the milk on days that I just can't keep it. Hey, Lufa. Chloe knows her limits. The milk. Warden! By the way, their volunteer pumpkins that were in here totally died of the frost. It's one thing that I forgot to cover. Easily could have covered them with their feed bowl. That's okay. So close, dude. So close. Oh, the improvements are great. Oops. Dude, you are making such a mess. He's just spinning around. It's all gone. Here. Ooh, it's all gone. I know, that's it. That's it. It's a good boy. Oof. Yes, that's all. Good boy, Warden. Good boy. The little dinosaurs are following me this morning. They might be out of food, so we'll take care of them in a second. But Levi just took our youngest daughter to the dentist. She is having 4 teeth extracted, and my mama heart hurts. I had 4 teeth extracted, the same 4 teeth when I was little, and I know it's not a fun time, but it'll be worth it. Anyway, I was reading in one of the herbal remedy books that I have about making a calendula tea for toothaches and for after extraction. So I have several calendula flowers out here. Some of them are a little bit gone by. But especially those ones over there, they look great. So we'll grab these and make her a little bit of tea to have when she gets home. Also, I totally failed at harvesting my bok choy, and it has totally gone to flower. One of my subscribers said that brassica flowers smell amazing. And you know what? I don't think I've ever thought to bend down and smell a brassica flower. Wow, how to describe that? Not like a rose, definitely sweet. I think I probably expected something peppery. Wow, that is very nice. I can't describe it. So I'm just gonna pop the heads off, stick them in the bowl. So here's our bounty. There's a few bugs in there. Probably gonna blow those off before I go ahead and make the tea. And I'll put a picture of the book that I got this recipe out of on the screen. This is a really great book. I have everything in this series. It says for tooth extractions, you can make a really strong tea with the calendula petals and then combine that strong tea half and half with apple cider vinegar and use it kind of like a poultice where the tooth was extracted. I'm not entirely sure we're going to be mixing it with the vinegar because that sounds painful, doesn't it? But I imagine the vinegar is part of what preserves the tea, so this may be something I have to make every few days and store in the fridge. I'm actually going to stick a couple little cloves in here too, because that's going to help with pain. It's been raining. They're a little bit yucky. Our egg numbers really have been pretty down. I know I have at least one broody hen in there. That could be part of the problem. Sometimes when one goes broody, multiple can go broody. So far I've only noticed the one. And when they are broody, it means that they're wanting to sit on eggs and hatch them. And during that time, they are not laying eggs. I'm getting like 3 to 6 eggs every day out of the hens that I have. Haven't counted them in a while, but I should be getting more than that. So I'm really grateful that we've got our little chicks, which we'll check on them. Here these birds are. I don't remember if I talked to you about the chicken wire yet, but I was on live stream with our members the other day and one of the turkeys just jumped right up. Oh. So it was time to cover them. They're doing really good. They do need to go out, but with the cold dips that we've been having, I've just been holding off. They're all doing great though. Getting really big.
In you go. Oops, I got it. Ew. I got feather dust all over my shirt.
There, it's spiky.
Alright, let's let them be. I'm gonna grab them some water.
Zach, what is this green stuff?
It looks like the ducks are just content to sit in the sunshine, which I don't blame them. I went in to go change the bedding and food out and water out like I've been doing 3 times a day at this point with that many birds. There's 25 birds in our brooder and the ducks are there. It was time for them to graduate. They are making the most mess. They're actually making enough mess with the water that it's soaking down through all the bedding that I have in there. I've just been stacking bedding upon bedding. And the towels and puppy pads that I have underneath, it's all soaked through that and it's starting to come out onto the concrete. So they needed to come outside. I think I'm gonna do the same thing with the turkeys and just sort of tractor them around a little bit before I stick them out in the chicken area. I think that's where I'm gonna put all of the birds. I may put the ducks and turkeys in their own little spot. I need to kind of think on that. When I've raised chickens and turkeys and ducks all together before, it's been fine. We've gotten eggs, we've gotten a lot of meat. So very likely that's what we'll do. But for now, this is the setup and it's gonna work well. I can literally just pick this up and move it and give them fresh ground every day. And it doesn't matter if they spill water all over the ground. They're starting to get a little bit more comfortable now. So maybe we'll walk away and see what they do. I realized that I never did update you on the kids' garden and how that did in the frost. And the answer is everything in here is totally fine. When I came to check, I only checked these potatoes and I didn't feel any frost on the leaves, but we ran the sprinkler before sunrise anyway. And even frost tender things like their peppers are totally fine. I do have a garden tour planned for you guys coming up this Tuesday, so I won't spoil it all. Until then, that is it for this week. I'll see you guys again soon.